So I am here with Dr. Kelli Felder. She is an author from Detroit. What was it like growing up in Detroit?
Oh my goodness, a lot of fun, but I guess I wouldn't know anything else because I was born and raised here. Detroit, excuse me, is lively. It's always something to do. We have the Charles Wright Museum here. That was the largest African American museum until the one was built in DC. A lot of cultural activities. I went to Martin Luther King High School. Um, Detroit has everything, Motown, you name it. Coney Island is here.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone I had interviewed, and they were telling me I need to go. If I go to Detroit, that's where I need to go, like, Coney Island.
But we're known for Coney Island. And you have to have all of the onions and mustard, definitely.
For sure. And you're an educator. Can you talk a little bit about your career in education?
I've been in education for 25 years, Detroit Public Schools, which I am a proud product of. Um, DPS. I also work at Wayne State University and the University of Michigan. As an educator in a K through 12 sector, I've taught everything from kindergarten through 12th grade. I love teaching. I love seeing students learn new information for the first time and that light bulb pop up. It's natural. It just feels right. Being a product of Detroit and giving back to students that look like me who sat in the same seats that I sat in, it's no better feeling. And with the university, I coach people going into education. So I get to help nurture and guide them on some of the pitfalls or deterrents that might make them want to turn away. And just, I honestly feel that this is the best career field for anyone.
Most definitely. Detroit, 47% of Metro Detroiters are reportedly functional illiterate. Like, what can be done to increase like the literacy rates?
Oh, I don't want to say buy-in, but that's where the village comes in. Because sometimes, or a lot of times, some kids won't get it at home. So that's when we have to incorporate education into the YMCA Youth Center, where we have to bring education into our church sector. It has to be a village effort, not just, okay, between 8 to 3 when you're in school. They have to read on the weekend and they have to have mentors that encourage reading and explain the fundamentals of it.
Most definitely. And you're an author, you're doing your part, as an educator and author. You wrote this book, A Day in the D with Dad. Can you tell me a little bit about the book?
Yes, a day in the D with dad parallels what most kids say. I'm bored, it's nothing to do. Detroit has amazing, it's a bunch of historical landmarks here in addition to Campus Martius Park, which is like the mecca of downtown Detroit now, where we have ice skating, a drive-in theater, we have roller skating. It's just shopping centers, eateries. It's the strip of downtown. But a day in a day with dad just parallels a young girl. Something came up on my computer. I'm sorry. Hanging out with her dad. He takes her to, like I said, all of the hot spots, Easter Market. So it's something like an eye opener for the people who live here and for visitors. Oh, what can I do, when I come to Detroit? So I just gave some landmarks of places that we're known for that are frequented, excuse me, that some people forget about, but it's always something to do here in the city.
You know, um, you bring up like, a very important, like, relationship, father and daughter relationships. Why are those so important?
Oh, that's where it begins, where a young girl learns how to interact with men, what men should be like, how they should treat you. that first relationship with dad is paramount. Mom is mom, but it's totally something different when a dad is involved. It's a relationship that you can't get from your mother, and a lot of our young ladies are missing that. So a dad could come in a figure of an uncle, a neighbor, a community member, a teacher, someone that's willing to set the right foundation and guidelines as to what a young lady should respect from a respectable man.
Right, because like in the black community, 70% of all births to black mothers are non-marital. So like, there's this stereotype that black fathers like, are largely absent. What are your thoughts about that?
Um, I want to say it's a stereotype. There are great black dads. They just aren't recognized or given the attention um, that they are present. So, we do have a pocket where there's an absentee, but like I said, that's where the village comes in. It might not be your biological father, it could be your godfather, it could be your assistant pastor, your um, deacon in the church. But there are men, like I said, blood doesn't matter. There are positive black male father figures that are present.
You call yourself a nation builder. What exactly does that mean?
That means that I take my charge as an educator seriously. I want to do and I do everything within my realm while I have breath in my body to build our nation. And that comes in the form of teaching our children. It's not just the academics, it's the whole child. Is your mind, is your body, is your spirit, right? I pride myself on setting them on a path where you give back. I believe, and I might misquote it, as Dr. King or someone says, the price that you pay is giving it forward. And that's where the nation builder comes in. I want to see my students do well. You don't, you know, equal or be my equivalent. You do better than I've done. You do better than your parents did. And that's how we build the nation, instilling academics, a sense of self. That is nation building, looking out for future generations, making sure that they have the tools to succeed.
Most definitely. Dr. Felder, I see like also that your daughters are authors as well. And like, you've written a number of other books. Can you talk a little bit about the other books you've written and the books like, that your daughters have written?
Absolutely. The book that I am most proud of, and I guess that's the most recent, is Tyrones Choice. And Tyrone's Choice is about African American kid who is a little misguided. And for the first time in his life, he goes to John Henrik Clark School, and he meets his first set of African American male teachers. And he's in awe with the presence of these strong black men, the education, the diction, the attire. And what I did with this book is I made all of the instructors people from history. Um, so the science teacher is uh, George Washington Carver. Langston Hughes is the ELA teacher. History is Carter G. Woodson. What I wanted to do was fuse our history into into the book so our students or our kids learn a little bit about history in a fun way. And, as Tyrone navigates through his classes and he meets James Weldon Johnson, his mind kind of shifts into am I doing everything that I can to please my parents, to please my community? And he does a little self-reflecting, but I wanted to fuse and let our kids know that we have positive examples in our past and our future. So I'm really proud of that. It's getting pretty good reviews. And in regard to, I'm sorry.
No, that's amazing. Like, and you bring up a really important point, like about, kids being able to see themselves, like, in their educators. And I think like, seeing someone who, was able to like, come from the same circumstances that you are will help them, like, that they can do the similar thing. Like, how can we like, foster more of that in education where there's more Black educators and for kids to be take education seriously.
I would say bring those figures in. I have been fortunate enough to get the first African American mayor of the city of Detroit, Coleman Young, his son, to come in. We did a lesson where I was teaching them about the first Black mayor of Detroit. So having his son come in, who is now a city council member in the city of Detroit, come in and talk to them and tell them about his dad, the first Black mayor, what he went through, and things. Bringing those people in help. I was also able to get, what is it, state rep, former state rep, Jewel Jones, to come in. He was the youngest congressman for the state of Michigan, to come in and talk with the kids. So bringing in people who are actually doing it. I was fortunate enough to host or chair an oratorical contest
Yeah.
in the city of Detroit, the first time that we were able to link up with Reverend Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Excel. So having him come in and take pictures and talk to the kids, the lieutenant governor came in, bringing those real life figures of people who are actually doing the work to talk to and instill, a sense of you can do it because I did it. I think that all of those things help.
You mentioned Jewel Jones, and like last month he pleaded guilty to 4 misdemeanors, 2 felony charges. Like everybody saw those videos online and were circulating. What are your thoughts about that?
That he is a mortal man, and we fall down, but we get back up. We don't um tear down, people who have everyone falls short of glory. And that's, his testimony. He's getting through it, and we still support him. I think being in a public eye, it's everyone has an eye or you can see, but he's human, and he'll move past it. He's a young man, and we don't pass judgment. We uplift, we praise, and we support.
Most definitely. What's next for you, Dr. Felder?
Um, I am actually, my daughter, who both of my daughters are authors, and my youngest daughter is actually the one who started us writing. She journaled, and I would say maybe she was 5 when she started to vocalize. She didn't speak for a long time, and she journaled. I go to Hartford Memorial Baptist Church, and our pastor, who just passed away, Pastor Emeritus, prayed for my daughter. Speech therapy, the works. Long story short, I'm doing something for one of the school plays or whatever, and she says it verbatim, the whole speech. We are in disbelief. We get the video, we record it, and we send it to family. I have a cousin that's a comedian. He put it on his YouTube. The choir director had her say it at church, and before we knew it, we were getting calls across the nation for her to speak,
Wow.
which, set up a relationship with several people. But it was her book that started. And from there, big sister couldn't. I want my little sister's doing it, so I can do it. So it trickled down. It's just something that we share, a passion that we share.
Most definitely. Dr. Felder, so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you. It was very nice meeting you.
You too.
Okay.